up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice and Dragons, it's Morphin time as we are back in the world of Power Rangers. This time we are reviewing the deck building game, the second core box that has been released for it, Zeo Stronger Than Before. This can be mixed with any of the current expansions that are out or subsequent expansions, and even mixed with the original deck building game to create a new and different experience. This is published by Renegade Game Studios, and this specific set is designed by T.C. Petty III. And now I'm going to toss it over to Julie, who will tell you more about the game itself.
So this is a game for 2 to 4 players that plays in 30 to 70 minutes, and it's for ages 13 and above.
I think the ages are right with this one because you definitely need to know how to combo some stuff together to do some cool moves. Otherwise, it's not going to go your way. Now, what will you be doing in Zeo Stronger Than Before? Much like the original game, you're going to have your character, either one of the villains. You've got two sides, the empowered, which you're trying to get to, and the original side that you start out on. You need to acquire villains. I'm just going to show these. You can see the different borders, so the different colors. Villains, maneuvers, heroes if you're on the ranger side. I prefer being bad in this case. Maneuvers, equipment. You got to put them all around your character, flip them over, get stronger, acquire masters or even zords. And then what you need to do is deal enough damage to the other player in order to win the game. Now it will be either played as 1v1, 2v1, which is 2 heroes versus 1 villain, or 2v2 as a set of teams. We've only played the game as 1v1, and you also might have noticed, because I showed you the character, this is not a character from the Zeo set. That's because we have played Zeo the core box by itself. We've then mixed it in with the Omega Forever expansion, which we're going to be playing our last game now, and we're going to be doing the reviews to this back to back, hence where you're going to see the similar clothing. And on that note, it's now time to
grab our drink,
grab our best friend,
and I think it's Morphin time.
It's Morphin time! Now I'm going to take a quick look at the components for Power Rangers deck building game Zeo Stronger Than Before. We'll start with some of the stuff I've got off camera. So we do have a brand new rule book. Now it is primarily the same as the original rule book. There actually is some instructions right here in the beginning that'll explain where you can skip ahead if you've already played the base game, as there are some stuff that are specific for Zeo that you get in the back. So like mixing in the base game promos and expansion, like the Fender Wheel, the Zeo Subcrystals, and a few other elements that are completely new to the game. And then on the back, you do have a nice quick reference guide as to what's going to be going on through the different turns. You do get a brand new Zord Bay, which has some different abilities, as well as a new layer for the villains for their masters. So keep that in mind. Here we do have just new tokens that represent the Zeo Rangers and the Machine Empire when it comes to your player number. You also will be getting 2 health trackers. Now, one thing I'm not sure of is these are the promo ones or not. We have a total of 4 actually, because we did get the promo that you can see right here with General Venjix, who also comes with Serpentera. So these cards are specifically in the promo pack. So I'm going to move them off to the side for the moment. We're going to go through the cards quickly. So here we've got the 10 card starting deck. For the villains, you get Mayhem, Smashing, Scraps, and Reconstruct. These really are just re-themes of the same cards that you got. So 1 for battling, 1 for healing, 1 to give you energy to use your special abilities. Take a look at the characters. So Louis Kaboom, Princess Archerina, Clank, Gasket, King Mondo, Queen Machina. We've got Kat, Tanya, Rocky, Adam, Tommy, and Jason. And then, of course, on the other side, you get the Ranger side for the teenagers, and then the empowered side for all of the different villains. You will be getting 2 new base cards that can be mixed and matched with the core game. You've got the new stuns and the new Zeo Blasters. They work fairly similar to what you get in the base game, but there are some differences. Here we've got the new locations that you're going to be getting in the game, as well as the Zeo Subcrystals. So you do have the 5 Zeo Crystals that may or may not be mixed into the game. It's up to you if you want to play with them. Here we've got the hero cards, and I didn't pick up all of them. Let's try to get them all. So Billy, And as you can see, we got all the Zeo Rangers, also Auric the Conqueror, so some pretty cool stuff. Very thematic, and also all the main heroes, which I do enjoy. Here we've got the villains, so some of the most famous villains from Zeo. Well, not necessarily the most famous. Prince Sprocket's just out of order there. And of course, the cogs. Here we've got the different maneuvers, Ultimate Sacrifice, Training Power, Zed's Vengeance. So I do like that they included Zed in the game, also Power of Zeo. Great way to get some energy for all of your special moves. Here we've got different equipment, such as the Defender Wheel, the Jet Cycles, Power Pod Sword, the Zeo Cannon, Quadra Fighters, which actually is one of my favorite cards in the game. Works really well. Then here we've got all the signature weapons for all the characters. I just didn't remove General Vengix's one because it wasn't really blocking the view of some of the other stuff. So as you can see, each character has their own signature weapon. Everything you've seen in the show. And then last but not least, we've got these Zords and Master cards here. So all the different Zeo Zords, and of course Pyramidas. We've got the Zeo Megazord, and then the different Masters that you can acquire in order to, beat up on the Rangers. So there you have it. This is really just a quick look at the components. Now keep it right here, as Julie and I will be coming back at you with a review of this core game or expansion, depending on how you want to look at it. So, Julie, what did you think of Power Rangers, the deck building game Zeo Stronger Than Before? Now, for someone that has an astute eye, you will notice that we have the setup from the Omega Forever expansion in front of us. We played the two of the games back to back, Zeo and then Omega Forever. So we are now reviewing them at right around the same time.
It's also why we're dressed the same.
Yes, similar, and also making some corrections depending on the order we reviewed this stuff. Just some fun behind the scenes notes. But in any case, Julie, take it away.
So I had fun as a ranger here. I was able to build up the whole Megazord and kind of come from behind and beat you up.
I made some mistakes. I still think Julie could have caught me.
Always insulting when he says he made mistakes and that's why I won.
Okay, I was playing as General Vengix, and I did actually have the opportunity, if I'd seen it, to try to put together Serpentera, which would have let me get the one-hit kill, which I did not do whatsoever, was not part of my plan, and I probably should have done that. Like I said, I could have played better. You still had a very good opportunity to beat me. We had some great cards. We were building out some awesome forces. I just definitely didn't take advantage of my best chance to win on the board. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you played badly. I was ahead. You built your forces back up, and I completely missed a chance for a one-hit kill, which doesn't happen a lot and really shouldn't be in games, but it's incredibly thematic to the episode and the character in question.
Yeah, when Jason told me afterwards he had that opportunity, I said, yeah, I would not have been happy with you. Because I think I still had like 27 health or something like that.
And if I built Serpentera, they attack for 30. Also, General Vengix is a promo pack, just to clarify that. There was a card that you actually had in this last game that made attacks unblockable, so if you had enough energy, you go unblockable attack, Serpentera, end of the game. Thematic, but definitely a little bit on the lame side.
Yeah. So there's some cool cards. There's some interesting new things that you can do. And, don't ask me what they are because it's not really, I'm not that into the IP. For Jason, it's like, oh, yeah, I saw that in whatever show.
Well, it was the speed, I think. Like, lots of cards with good amount of shards, good amount of energy. It was fairly easy once we got going. The game took a little bit longer than we thought, but to get built up.
That's what I was going to say.
Stuff.
Again, this is an over an hour game, and this game needs to be under an hour. It needs to play under an hour.
I think an hour is fine. I didn't dislike our first game going over an hour because we were getting back into the feel of the deck building game, and we were doing cool stuff. Like, I still would have liked it a little bit faster, but it was fun to see, like, I had a bunch of Masters, you had a bunch of Megazords, so we had this epic battle going on, and that was cool. That being said, at 2 players, I still want it to be 45 minutes to an hour.
Exactly. When I say under an hour, I mean, so oftentimes we tend to round down and say, oh, it was about an hour when it was over that. All that to say, the second game felt like it slogged a little bit more, and that's part of the problem, with deck builders. Depends what cards come up. Neither of us are really getting anything all that exciting, and my villain just wasn't doing anything great.
She was Queen Machina, and I was Zeo Ranger 4 green. And the fact that I was able to do damage by equipping maneuvers, I was just constantly the entire game just hitting at you the whole time.
And I didn't really have anything to block, and I didn't have anything really to, Jason was able to, whenever I'd mount something up that was fairly good, he was able to block or heal up right away. So it was just a frustrating game. And yeah, it was okay. How's that?
I think there's a lot of good stuff here in Zeo. And I think the fact that typically you're seeing a little bit less blocking, or there's some blocks that have some very devastating mechanics. Like when you blocked with Train, you destroyed my villain Silo, which kind of destroyed my strategy when I was General Vengeance. So there's some cool cards like that. But there are some cards that definitely would shift the balance. Like both times I got the Machine Empire card, which let me destroy a card in my hand and heal 2 health, which was great because I was building a very efficient deck and I was doing a good job at destroying cards, and it just let me keep the pressure on. The Zed Revenge card, which is the one that lets you activate Zords, and you were readying Zords and activating Zords later on, was very strong. This time, the second time, I made sure to grab that card because I think that was the card that not single-handedly, but it was the one that me not having stopped you from getting it. Once you got the Zords going, had you off to the races. I was like, damn, I really should not have let you get that card. So there are a few things like that come up in the game, which I think can swing the balance one way or the other. The game still felt fairly good at 2 players. It felt more balanced than I would say the original game did, because we definitely found that the villains were stronger at the start. Still a little bit of the case, but I did feel that as General Vengeance, even after you morphed, I was still in a good spot. I just don't think I was getting necessarily the best cards in the grid or making the best decisions to keep pace with you. Whereas when we played the original game, it felt like once someone morphed, unless the villains were way far ahead, game was over. And now, once again, strictly playing heads up 1v1 game, not a team game, where I do think there'd be some different balance elements that come into play, because if your teammate starts buying certain things, it gets easier for you to acquire certain things later on.
I don't really have anything else to add.
I think there's not much else to say. I like the new cards. I like Zeo stronger than before. I think that if I had to pick an individual core set, I'd go with the Zeo core set over the original. Some of the stuff was just a little bit more fun to me, and I felt that the back and forth was definitely a lot more reasonable than it had been in the original game, because I remember those games I played as the recommended character, which was I was like Rita or Volto, and I was just guarding the whole time, and you were Jason, and you just kind of whooped on me. Then you picked Scorpina, and you got off to a good start. And when I marked, I started coming back, but you were still just really far ahead. I think you picked probably one of the best villains to play against. And where I played you against was Rita Repulsa. I had nothing. She just was not going anywhere. And she's supposed to be the big bad, and she didn't feel that way. Whereas I think the villains felt a lot more balanced in this game, except for Queen Machina, who did seem kind of terrible unless there was a specific strategy that she could play that just didn't materialize in a grid. But don't really have much more to say. I think it's an improvement. I think it's a step in the right direction. Still, this game hasn't quite hit the heights that I think both of us would like it to hit. We like equipping our players. We like doing everything. We like the Masters. We like the Zords. It's just not hitting that playtime and balance for us right now.
So for all the reasons Jason just stated, that's why I'm giving this a 6.
And I'm going to actually give it a little bit better score. I'm going to give it a 6.5 because I enjoyed it more. I like the characters more. I had more fun with it. I finally got to beat Julie instead of being on the end of being whooped. And Zeo Ranger 4 was a lot of fun, but I can definitely see her frustrations playing Queen Machina, because I felt bad for her. Just nothing was coming together. And I do think that that's still a flaw of the game. This needs to cycle more. And I don't know if there's a house rule or something we can do to fix the grid, but when stuff that you need isn't coming up or stuff gets a little stagnant, it can really affect.
Well, there was
player.
actually a couple of cards that I know that I had at some point that would allow me to get rid of a certain number of cards on the grid. So
yeah, that was the blasters, which I actually did like. The Zeo blasters were cool with the fact that they could let you clean out the grid, but you're destroying a card, meaning you're not getting the shards or something from it. So it's one of those things where I kind of feel like if you're using it to clear out a space in the grid, maybe you should still get the shards. Just a few things to balance things out and keep the pace high, because a heads-up game, at least for us, heads-up game should be an hour, unless there's some long, intricate game that we're going to get, a real nice reward out of, and we're going to be, building a town, building a city, trying to score points on what we're doing, not necessarily hitting each other in the face. And I think a good example of that would be Tapestry, in terms of what we enjoy for a longer game where we're competing, but we're doing our own thing, and I'm not going to be there messing with Julie the whole time.
So on that note, it's time to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified when we have new content for you.
And take a look down below in the video description. You'll find links to all of our social media feeds: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see some pictures of Julie and I playing Power Rangers Stronger Than Before, there'll be plenty on those feeds. If you're looking to pick up a copy of the game, any Power Rangers game, any game from Renegade Game Studios, make sure you check out the link down there to multizone.ca, a great Canadian game store. Click the link, you'll get 10% off your next purchase. It's a great way to support the channel, as a portion of that purchase will be returned to us. And then popping up in front of us are going to be links to some of our previously released videos. In front of me will be our most recent release. In front of Julie, it's going to take you back to our review on how to play of the original Power Rangers deck building game. And on that note, we're now going to grab our drink, grab our best friend, we're going to keep playing games.